Okay, TB Nation, it's time to talk about Doug Loosenhop, aka DJ Doug Pound. Now, you might know Doug from his many popular works, including with Tim Heidecker or on Portlandia, or even his earliest work, the infamous E-Bombs World G.I. Joe videos. But while Doug is clearly a brilliant comedic mind, he's chosen largely to stay out of the spotlight. But why? Well, I found out just what DJ Doug Pound doesn't want you to know. You see, Doug was actually a successful child actor in the 90s on the hit show The Torkelsons. Now, apparently Doug hated playing the role of Chucky Lee Torkelson, and as soon as his contract ended, Doug left acting for good. And his friends say this is when Doug went full counterculture and got into skateboarding. And at the time, this wild new sport of boarding while using the technology of skate was considered completely crazy. But some forward-thinking minds saw the industry's growth potential. And one of those minds was Doug Loosenhop and his rich uncle who was willing to invest. So during his senior year of high school, Doug started his own skateboard brand he called Dicks. And Doug apparently thought it would be hilarious for people to say they were riding a dick. But this childish sense of humor didn't help make any sales. And Doug was left with 7,000 unsold dick boards. But DJ Doug Pound wasn't deterred, and he pivoted to building a new business, E-Bombs World, the website that started the earliest viral videos long before Lord YouTube existed. But though E-Bombs World was an overt success as far as a video sharing platform, it wasn't able to monetize and eventually went under, leaving the market wide open for YouTube to build a better engine. And here's where we lose track of Doug for about 5 years. The next time he's seen, he's a highly influential video editor at Adult Swim, and has even been quoted as saying Tim Heidecker would be nothing without him. And it is indeed true that in this early era for Tim and Eric, DJ Doug Pound was the one in charge. But after the Tim and Eric show ended in 2017, the tables turned when Tim started his own show, Office Hours Live. Doug, finding himself out of a job, apparently had to beg Tim to be a part of this show, after being kicked off of Moshe Kasher's podcast because his drops annoyed one guest one time. And apparently this is when Tim Heidecker's vindictive side came out, as he hired Vic Berger to do the same job as Doug at the same time, creating a tense environment where everyone is left wondering who does the funniest drops. And while that battle rages on to this very day, I'm still left wondering about Doug's past. How was he able to fund so many businesses that failed at such a young age? Well, after emailing Alex Jones's ex-wife, I was able to obtain these documents that explain everything. You see, Doug Loosenhop's uncle is Dick Cheney. That's the real reason Doug wasn't able to sell a single skateboard to the youth of the early 2000s. Dick Cheney's face plastered all over a skateboard just wasn't sellable, and even the launch of the website E-Bombs World was based largely on housing Dick Cheney's massive collection of videos of people eating human feces. But if Doug was so connected, how did he end up under Tim Heidecker's thumb? Well, the truth makes total sense. You see, Tim Heidecker's step-uncle is actually Osama bin Laden, and as we all know, Tim has used his connection to Osama to dominate Hollywood from behind the scenes in Glendale. And if that wasn't enough, it's even been reported that Tim Heidecker has been accused of forcing Doug to smoke cigarettes. And some even suspect that Doug's YouTube show The Pound House is a Stanley Kubrick-like showpiece designed to expose Heidecker and the high government. We may never know the truth, but it seems likely that everything I've said is a fact. And there's plenty more strange things about DJ Doug Pound, like the time he spent the night in jail for uppercutting early 2000s rapper Eve, ironically at an Eve 6 karaoke event, or how he's trying to start a new business, Dean Cain's Donuts. But we'll have to save that for another time. Until then, Doug Loosenhop, aka DJ Doug Pound Cheney, you're a total bitch! Okay everyone, if you're keeping up, it appears we created a water world, much like the movie that should have certainly had a sequel at least. Me and the small group still left clinging to the rock face jumped onto some floating debris and have been swept far out into the ocean. What will happen to us now? Will Kill Tony flourish in this water world the same way the Oilers did? Could I be the Kevin Costner of this water world? TB Nation, it's all come down to this.